Hello guys, this is you. Welcome back to my devlog, where I recreate my very first, actually second video game. I'll have to say that I seriously underestimated the time it was going to take for me to create the 3D model, which took around 3 weeks. My biggest struggle has always been keeping things organized. To fix this, I created an account in Trello, set up a new board, or however Trello calls these kind of sticky notes, and started adding the objectives. Usually, the game development tutorials you usually see on YouTube and other websites recommend starting with something basic such as cubes, for example, to use as placeholders and develop the flight controller that way, and then create the 3D models to make it look pretty. Well, I'm not taking the best decisions on this project, so yes, I spent 3 weeks creating a 3D model. I started by doing some research and getting some reference images to use along the modeling process. Once I had the reference images, I started extruding the profile of the fuselage as close to the reference as possible, keeping an eye on the profile, and then I moved over to the empennage. And yes, this is the technical term for the airplane's tail. And finally, I started with the wings. With the wings, I wanted to make sure that I kept the airfoil design, which is what basically makes airplanes fly. I really think these small details are what make a huge difference at the end. After I finished with the wings and empennage, I started making the cutout for the cockpit, which was just a matter of taking some scissors and cutting the mesh. I mean, literally. Then added a cylinder as a placeholder for the engine cowling, and the metal shroud that connects the fuselage to the engine cowling. Creating this shroud was actually pretty simple, since I just copied the polygons that were already part of the fuselage and extruded them a little. Finally, I started modeling the engine cowling and also the engine. I wanted to keep a fair amount of detail on the engine, so I spent many polygons on it, which, yeah, I will probably regret this. Well, then I modeled the machine guns that go on top of the fuselage right in front of you, called Vickers machine guns. Same as before, I took some reference pictures from Google and then used them to guide me on the process of modeling the guns. Finally, I copy-paste these guns over the main airplane model, scale them, and put them into position. After this, I spent some time modeling the pilot seat as well as the machine gun support. Then finally, I started adding the little details of the metal shroud, such as the channel where the bullet casings drop from the machine guns, as well as the rivets holding this panel. Then, after this, I went to bed, and the very next day I was finally almost ready to start painting the model. Until... Yep. 2020 did it again. Sweat was dropping from my head as tears had started to come out from my eyes, as I saw my beautiful plane being destroyed by the mere corruption of a save file. About 9 hours of work got dumped to the trash, and yes, pain is real. I tried troubleshooting this and searching everywhere for a solution. Guess what? No luck. It's lost. Like, completely lost. Like Atlantis or my sanity.
Password incorrect. Password incorrect. Password incorrect. Thank you. Username, King Dong112382. Your naughty monkey search history is now public and your computer has a virus.
So, yeah, after going through the 7 stages of grief, I finally accepted that the only way of moving forward was to create the model all over again. So, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I really hope you liked the video. Sorry I didn't have anything new to show you really, but haha, you think I was gonna quit so easily? I mean, I am grinding to get this model out, so I will take you with me. Seriously thought I was going to be so easy for me to give up? Not today, my friend. Not today. So, back to the beginning. On the bright side, I think this new model actually ended up being much better. And I don't know, guys, is it just me or that plane is looking kinda lit? Moving on, I started unwrapping the UVs. If you don't know what UVs are, let me explain quickly. Imagine you have a can and you want to stick a label to it. That label basically needs to wrap around the soda can, which in this analogy is the 3D model. That's what UVs are. They basically define how to project the 2D texture into the 3D model. You really need to do this right in order to ensure that the model is correctly painted on the next steps. So, after unwrapping the UVs, I imported the model to Substance Painter and started creating the texture maps for the model, such as the ambient occlusion and the curvature of the models and various random stuff that Substance Painter creates. Until this happened. I literally spent 4 days trying to figure out what was the reason for these crappy texture maps. And I mean, I got an error on Substance Painter saying that I should update my BIOS. I even updated my BIOS because of this error. And at the end, as always, it was my fault. I took the easy route when unwrapping the UVs, and instead of properly unwrapping them, I told Cinema 4D, hey, just treat it as a cube. Or, hey, just treat it as a cylinder. So the polygons were overlapping on the UV map and creating these unwanted shadows. So after 4 days fixing my own mistake, it was finally time to paint. I started adding some materials on Substance Painter and then adding some additional decals as well as painting the ridges that are on the upper wing. After a couple days of painting and a couple start overs because I was not completely pleased by the looks of the paint, I finally finished painting the model. Time to export over to Unity, and after a few mishaps with the Cineware plugin, looks like it finally imported perfectly. And then I figured out that I had to manually assign the 80 something textures that Substance Painter created on Unity. So yeah, time to assign them. And in the order of business, I really think I did a great progress on this model, which I'm very proud of. Coming up, we'll start to rig the model on Unity 3D, give it some physics, and then create an FPS controller. Yes, first person shooter. I think it's gonna be a cool mechanic to add later on, and you'll see why. Until that moment, guys, I hope you had a wonderful new year, and I wish you the best. If you liked the video, consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon for more updates. Hopefully, every 2 weeks now. I really think things are gonna move a little bit quicker now. Anyways, that was it for today, guys. See ya!